Welcome to This Explainer. So, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how whenever we set a new goal, we start out feeling absolutely, literally unstoppable? You know the feeling. You join a gym, and for that first week, you are crushing it. You don't miss a single workout. Or maybe you decide to start studying for a big exam, and for the first few days, you're effortlessly reading for hours. Or you kick off a new project with endless ideas flowing. But then, well, something weird happens. The goal is exactly the same. The dream hasn't changed, the work required is identical, but you just kind of start to slow down. The enthusiasm fizzles out. And honestly, the most frustrating part of the whole shebang is that you don't even know why you're stopping.
Why do we quit so fast? Well, when we fall into this cycle, what's our default reaction? We blame ourselves, right? We ask why we gave up, and we usually answer it by saying, I just don't have enough discipline. Or maybe we blame a lack of motivation. Most of the time, we just flat out label ourselves as lazy. We convince ourselves that there is some fundamental flaw in our character that just stops us from pushing through.
Okay, let's dive into this because I really want to relieve you of that guilt right now. Seriously, let it go, because if your problem was truly just laziness, you wouldn't have survived those first 10 days of intense, focused effort. Think about it. A genuinely lazy person doesn't wake up at 5 a.m. for 20 days straight before quitting. A lazy student doesn't study intensely for a week and a half before losing the urge to open the book. The issue here isn't a lack of discipline, and it absolutely isn't a lack of motivation. What you're actually experiencing is a deeply ingrained psychological mechanism hardwired inside your brain.
Section 1. The consistency trap.
To figure out why we quit, we really have to look at this hidden mechanism, and I promise you, if you can understand this, you won't just unlock the secret to consistency, you're going to understand a fundamental truth about human behavior. But if you ignore it, you'll just keep setting the same goals every single New Year's Eve and repeating the exact same frustrating cycle. So, here's the foundational rule. The human brain does not care about success nearly as much as it cares about progress. Seriously, human behavior isn't driven by some distant, abstract idea of an end goal. It is driven by the immediate, undeniable feeling of moving forward today. If your brain doesn't feel like it's making progress right now, it slams on the brakes.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how that priority works in the real world. Let's compare a gamer and a student. Logically, we all know preparing for an exam is way more important for your life than playing a video game. Yet, a gamer can sit there for 5 or 6 hours without even blinking, while a student studying for that life-changing exam will start checking their phone after, 30 minutes? So is the gamer more disciplined? No way. Is the student lazier? Nope. The key difference here is the feedback loop. The game is constantly firing off messages to the brain saying, hey, you are moving forward. You get instant dopamine, you level up, you collect coins, your rank goes up. Literally every minute the brain gets tangible proof that its effort is producing results. The student, though, they study for an hour and nothing changes. 3 hours, nothing changes. Their actual exam results are still months away.
Section 2. Visible versus invisible progress.
That brings us to our next major concept, because as it turns out, not all progress looks the same to our brains. See, that student is absolutely making progress, but the brain can't perceive it because it's invisible progress. It's growth that's happening beneath the surface. Think of it like planting a seed. When you put a seed in the dirt, you can water it for days and see absolutely nothing on the surface. Zero! But underneath, the roots are spreading, they're growing stronger, real growth is happening. The problem is, our brains absolutely hate this underground growth. Our brains crave visible, undeniable proof. When progress is invisible, the brain just interprets it as zero progress, and it assumes all your hard work is being totally wasted.
Section 3. Track actions, not results. So the crucial point is, if the brain desperately needs to feel visible progress, how do we provide that when our goals take months or even years to achieve? Well, we have to completely overhaul the way we measure our success. The way you track your progress dictates your consistency. For example, when you want to grow a YouTube channel, it's totally natural to track views, right? When you study, you track exam marks. At the gym, you track your body transformation. But here's the catch. All of those results are completely out of your immediate control. Tracking them just sends a daily depressing signal to your brain saying, nope, we aren't there yet. It is a total motivation killer. Instead, you've got to shift your focus. You can't control YouTube views today, but you can track how many scripts you wrote this week. You can't control that final exam grade right now, but you can track exactly how many pages you read today. Tracking controllable actions feeds your brain that visible momentum it is desperately begging for. And why is this momentum so absolutely crucial?
because momentum is much, much harder to start than it is to maintain. Think about riding a bicycle. The absolute hardest part, the part that takes the most energy, is that initial push to get the pedals moving. But once you're cruising, the momentum takes over and it becomes incredibly easy to just keep pedaling. Well, your brain works the exact same way. It needs continuous, visible proof of movement to keep pedaling. By tracking your daily actions, you're giving your brain that proof.
Section 4. The comfort calculation.
Now, even with action tracking, there is still this massive emotional roadblock that every single one of us faces. It's the primary reason we suddenly drop our plans. Let's look at the hidden math your brain is doing behind your back. We have all said this phrase, "I just don't feel like it today." But here's the secret. That is not an actual emotion. I know it feels like an emotion, but it's really not. It is a calculated output generated by your brain. Your brain is essentially running a complex algorithm based on effort versus reward, and "I don't feel like it" is just the error message it spits out to make you stop.
Let's break down the math your brain is doing. It looks at two options. Option 1, scrolling reels on your phone. The math here is simple. It requires almost zero effort, and it provides an instant dopamine hit. Boom, that equals present comfort. Option 2, studying, or maybe going to the gym. This requires high effort, and the reward? Well, that's delayed by months or years. That equals future success. So when the brain compares these two formulas, which one do you think it finds more attractive? It is always going to choose present comfort. Why? Because the brain lives entirely in the present, not the future. The highly successful future you, the one with great grades, a fit body, or a booming business, that person isn't real to your brain yet. But the comfort of sitting on the couch right now? Oh, that is very real. When you feel like you don't want to do the work, your brain is literally just trying to save you from spending energy on a reward it can't physically see yet.
Section 5. Pre-lock your decisions.
So, knowing that our brain is biologically hardwired to choose present comfort over future success, how in the world do we beat it? Well, the answer actually isn't to fight your brain every day. That's exhausting. The answer is to bypass this comfort bias entirely, and we do that by pre-locking our decisions. Consistency breaks the exact second we give our brain options. Think about waking up in the morning, lying in bed, and trying to decide whether or not you should go to the gym. The moment you ask yourself, should I go or should I sleep 20 more minutes? You've already lost. You gave your brain an option. And because of that comfort calculation we just talked about, your brain will instantly flood your mind with a million logical sounding excuses for why you should just stay in bed. Highly consistent people do not wake up and fight their own minds every single day. They just execute pre-made choices. Here's the exact system you need to use. Step 1, choose the action. Step 2, set the precise time for that action the night before. Step 3, execute without negotiating. If your plan says you're going to edit a video at 6 p.m., then at 6 p.m. you sit down and do it. You do not ask yourself if you're in the mood. You remove the decision-making process completely from the equation. You make the action non-negotiable. Let's move to our framework and see how this builds into a complete system. Because consistency is not a sheer test of willpower, it is a meticulously designed system. First, forgive yourself. It is biology, not laziness. Second, shift your focus from tracking uncontrollable results to tracking your daily, controllable actions. Third, recognize the comfort calculation so you know that when you think, "I don't feel like it," it's just a trick of the brain. And finally, pre-lock your decisions to completely remove those options that tempt you with present comfort. You now have the exact psychological system to bypass the traps your own brain sets for you. It is no longer about waiting around for motivation to magically strike. It's about taking control of the process. So, I want to leave you with this one vital question. What decision will you lock in tonight? Seriously, don't wait for tomorrow morning to figure it out. Make the choice right now, remove the options, and watch your consistency completely transform. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer, and I will see you in the next one.